All right, finally live. All right, there we go. It's having some issues with YouTube. Not sure what was going on, but all right. We're just gonna make this quick, guys. Treat it like a normal YouTube video, although this is a live. So if you are watching live, then feel free to ask your questions in the chat. And if you watch this on the replay, still feel free to drop a comment and ask your questions about anything that I talk about today, and I will get to you guys as soon as I can. But basically, I'm just gonna go through this whole PDF file. I put a whole PDF file about 2-3 weeks ago, just step by step, going through how to basically get started on eBay, opening your account, and then selling your first item. So we're just gonna get started through the whole thing. Like it's 12 steps that you gotta do, and at the end of it, you should feel at least confident to give this a try and make your first sale on eBay. We got Carlos in the chat saying you in NJ. No, I'm in Arizona. But yeah, we're gonna do that. Oh, and by the way, last thing before I get started, if you're already a reseller and I get a lot of people asking me like, where do I buy all my supplies for my reselling business? Everything's gonna be in the description for this on this video, and also there's gonna be a link for the PDF if you want to get this like on paper, I guess. But it's free to download. You can go ahead and do that. Lisa in the chat, awesome. Thanks for your content, man. Robert, appreciate you, Robert. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Yeah, like I said, step by step. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you already resell or you're trying to get into the reselling business. I know there's like majority of my followers is 50-50. Some have been doing it for way longer than me, which is really awesome. And then there's people that are barely, thinking about getting started here. But all right, so Ken already sells. Awesome, Ken. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely whether you do it full time or you do it like part time, it's definitely a fun hustle to make extra money, to be honest. Starting to resell, done a few shows already. That's awesome, Sochi. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. All right, guys. So step one to get started on selling on eBay is pretty obvious. It's just starting an eBay account. You can do two things. You can start a brand new account, or if you already have an account that you've been using to only buy things for the past, let's say, months or years, then I would highly recommend that you turn that one into a selling one, because eBay will prioritize you because you already have history with them. And if you've been a great buyer and you have that feedback as a buyer, even though you don't have it as a seller, they'll still trust you to become a seller on their platform. Because you got to remember, if you are a good seller, then and you are selling items, then you are making eBay money with all the fees. So they are going to send you more buyers. And that's just kind of how it works. It's kind of like a, you help me, I help you kind of thing. And a lot of people don't really think that way. They just think that eBay is a big platform that if you just list items, that your items are going to sell. But if you have like terrible ratings on your eBay account, eBay is not going to prioritize you, and they're going to push you all the way down. But yeah, that is super simple. Once you start your eBay account, if you start brand new, you got to do two things, which is number one, fill out your personal information, because at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year, they'll send you a 1099 for you to do your taxes. And you also want to do your payment methods, because if you sell an item, eBay needs to know where to pay you. So it's very important to do that. Otherwise, you'll never make your money. Let's see, Brew, love your content. You are motivating me to start this up. I love it. You gotta give it a try. I'm a reseller my second year part-time, started a YouTube channel to try out making content because you inspired me. That's awesome. I love it. Back to the flipper. I love it. If you are a reseller, or honestly anything, whatever it is that you're doing, I would highly recommend that you try creating content if it's something for you. Creating content is not for everybody, but if you are able to get to it, then it's another source of income in the future. But let's get back on topic. All right. Step number 2, guys, is to download the eBay app if you already don't have it. I know some people prefer to do the listing and the, photographing with a separate camera and do everything on the computer. But for me, I've been doing everything on my phone. The only time that I use a computer is to print out my labels. But even then, with my wireless printer, I can do it on my phone, but I just choose not to. But if you download the eBay app, you can do everything on the eBay app. You can do your research on your items. You can list your items on the eBay app, and makes the process so much easier, in my opinion, because if you need to do like your eBay listings and you're not home, you can do it from anywhere else that you're at, which is, like I said, very, very convenient. And that way you don't miss any days. And we're going to get into that a little more into like next couple steps. but I'll tell you guys more about like the whole eBay algorithm type of thing. But yeah, that's it. Just download the eBay app. Makes it super easy, super convenient to just make your listings every single day. Number three, this is the one that a lot of people struggle with. So it's picking your first item to sell. And I always tell everybody, like, if you're just starting out and you don't have a budget, go around your house, look for items that you already own that you're not using anymore, or maybe even items that you're still using, but you can sell, make money, get your business started, and then you can always buy those items back. But the number one place is to just go around your house, look for items. I can guarantee you that we all have some kind of item that we just have sitting on a shelf, or we have it in storage that we're not even using anymore. And that's just, money, just money sitting there when you can potentially list it up and potentially sell and make some money. But if you do have a budget, I don't really have a recommended budget to start with. It really just depends where you're going to be sourcing. Like if I say, even with $50, you can go to the Goodwill bins and you can buy a bunch of items. But if you don't have a Goodwill bins near you, then you have to go to yard sales. You have to go to normal Goodwill retail stores, and with $50, you're not going to be able to get much, to be honest. So the budget, it really depends on the where you're going to be sourcing your items. So if you need places like where to go sourcing, you got thrift stores, you got pawn shops. A lot of people sleep on pawn shops. I would highly recommend that you go check your local pawn shops. Probably the super pawns. Those are probably my favorite ones where I always find really good stuff. But you can find some really great deals. Profit margins aren't as great as if you go to the Goodwill bins. But for example, when I go to a pawn shop, I see like 3-4 PlayStation 4s that I can get for $40 and then sell for $100. Make, after fees and everything, you probably end up making like $35 profit. But when you buy 3, that's $90, $100 profit in just one stop. That's why I kind of really like the pawn shops. Like I said, a lot of people sleep on pawn shops, but I would highly recommend that you check those out. Let's see. Number 3 is yard sales. Yard sales is different around the U.S. basically. Just depends on the seasons. Like right now in Arizona, it's already pretty much hot, so there's gonna be no more yard sales. So just depending where you live, check the seasons and when is yard sale season, and then I would highly recommend yard sales. Flea markets are a great place as well. I don't really do those, but I know other people that do really, really good with flea markets. You just got to show up more consistently at the flea markets and build those connections with people, because if you already get to know them and they know that if they buy a bunch of items, so they find them like as storage units, and they already have you as a contact, then they know that they can make money fast, and then you get to make money fast as well. So it makes your job a little bit easier as well. So flea markets are great. Let me see. Tusal says Salvation Army is really good here for good finds with decent profit margins. Yeah, there you go. Salvation Army are really good. I've heard a bunch of things about Salvation Armies. The ones that I go to near me, or the ones that I used to go to, they're terrible. So I stopped going to those. But it just, like I said, it just really depends on the area that you live in. The last one would be Facebook Marketplace. You can actually find really good things on Facebook Marketplace. You just have to be basically on like for a long time. You got to be on it 24/7, because once a great deal pops up, you have to be one of the first ones to message and to pick up the items, because someone else is going to beat you to it. So Facebook Marketplace is great, but you got to be quick with it. And if you are doing this part-time and you have a 9-to-5 job, then it's going to be really hard for you to do the Facebook Marketplace stuff. But yeah, out of those places, just choose one that is more convenient to you, or you think that works best for you. Like if you have thrift stores around you that always bring out great items, stick with that. And if you don't know which one's the best one for you, then try every single one of them. Try every single one of them. Try it for, I don't know, a couple weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then see which one benefits you a lot more with your time and your profit margins as well. Let's see. Ken says, Habitat for Humanity restored, free pickups are great. Oh, there you go, Ken. I've heard about that too. I just never tried it myself. What lighting do you use for taking pictures? The lighting, I believe I have that link in the description. I don't know how it works with the YouTube lives, but I believe it's going to be in the description. But check on, it should be right there. It should be there. All right, let's see. What about storage units? Storage units, I haven't tried it myself, so that's why I don't really like to speak on it. But I know a couple people that do really good with storage units. Like I said, if you have the budget for storage units, give it a try. I can't tell you much about it just because I haven't done it myself. But once I do try it out myself in the next couple weeks or in a month or so, I will let you guys know if it's good, if it's worth it, and if it's not, because I know it can be a lot of work. It can be a lot of work doing the storage units. All right. So step number 4 is going to be researching what it's worth. I think this is a step that a lot of people skip, and it's the most important step out of all. So when I say research, is always checking the sell-through rate of an item, and it's super simple. So all you got to do is it's just a simple formula. So you search an item on eBay, and I wish I could show you guys on the computer here, but I don't know how to screen share yet. I'm not that much of a professional yet, but you just go to eBay and then you search for an item. You go to filter, and then you see how many have sold in the past 90 days. Then you take the number of how many are listed right now, and then you divide the amount sold by the amount listed times 100, and you get a percentage, which would be the sell-through rate. And obviously, the higher the percentage is, the better. If you're just starting out, I would highly recommend that you stick with anything over like 70% sell-through rate. That just means that your items are going to sell a lot faster, because if you buy items with like 20% sell-through rate, 10% sell-through rates, then your items are going to be sitting there for a while, and you're not going to be able to reinvest that money back into the business. And if you run out of money, then you can't grow your business. So stick with anything over like 70%, I would say, in the beginning. Once you already built up your store with a good amount of items, like let's say you have, I don't know, 150 items listed. If you have 100 items listed with 60% to 100% sell-through rate items, and then the other 50 are like 30%, that's totally fine, because you'll be making money on those items that sell fast. But in a month or so, you'll sell those 30% sell-through rate items, and then that's money coming in as well. And you're going to keep doing the same thing. You're just going to keep adding more items with really good sell-through rates, and mixing it up little by little. But like I said, in the beginning, focus on those high sell-through rate items. Let me see. Jay said, I'm in Phoenix as well. Do you still do yard sales summer? Very slim. Jay, no yard sales on summertime here in Phoenix, because it's too hot and it's not worth my drive, to be honest. It's not worth it. What do you do with inventory that sits for over a year? All right, I'll answer the question before I get to the next step. So with inventory that does not sell, I've been doing a lot of whatnot shows, and it's just weird how it works on eBay. There's times where you list an item with really good sell-through rate, and sometimes it just never sells. For whatever reason. I don't know if it's because, the type of item is like, it's different than the type of items that you sell or whatever it is, but they just won't sell. So I take those items and I just put them on whatnot, and I just sell them there. The other thing that I do is, if I have an item that's been sitting for, like a year, like you said, I would just lower the price to where I can just break even and then get that money back and reinvest it and buy more items. But I just try to move that item as fast as I can, just like I said, to take that money and buy something that's going to sell a lot faster. Let me see. Nicholas said, when you get a chance, can you talk about your criteria for picking stuffed animals? Oh yeah, Nicholas, I can definitely do that. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I'll definitely do that. Bruce says, I found that checking each item's sell-through rate is pretty tedious and sucks up all my time when I'm sorting. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. It does take a lot of time. So glad you asked that. The fastest way that I've done my research on, I do my research on items, is using Google Lens. So when, let's say I come across an item, I use Google Lens, I take a picture of it, and Google Lens already gives us some eBay listings. If I see an item that says like $20 or more, then I take that extra time to go to eBay and check the sell-through rate of the item. But if it's an item that tells me like $15 or $10, I usually just pass on it because it's not worth my time. But I think, Brew, I don't know if you told me, I can't remember if you told me how long you've been selling for, but the longer you're into this business, the more you kind of just learn all these things, and you kind of, you see an item that you sold in the past, and then you find another one while you're sourcing, and it's very similar to the item. So you kind of already know that you have to pick it up because it's going to sell for a good amount of money. But yeah, it's all really just the experience. But the fastest way to do the research is using Google Lens. Oh, that's perfect. I'm just starting. Thanks for that. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like I said, Google Lens, take a picture. It'll give you listings right there. And then just go to eBay to check the sell-through rate. If it's worth, I don't know, more than $20, like I said. I mean, but that's just my rule. anything over $20, I'll take that time. But if it's, for you, if it's $10 or $15, if you're just starting out, then go ahead and do that. Like I said, just for me, it's a $20. All right. So that was step number 4, which was doing your research. Okay, guys, always do your research on items, because otherwise you'll end up with a bunch of inventory that never sells, and you're going to waste your money. And if you're spending all your money on inventory that's never going to sell, then you're going to run out of your money and your business is basically going to fail. All right, so let's go into step number 5. Step number 5, take clear and honest photos. Okay, this would have been perfect for the lighting. It should be in the description, guys. But if it's not there, then I will update it once the live is over. I will add that link there so you guys can get the LED light that I use for all my photos. Pictures are very important. So if you go on eBay and you search for an item, let's say you're selling, I don't know, let's say you're selling liquid death. So if you see one for sale and they have terrible lighting, and then the background looks like, they got a bunch of junk in the background, then that's a great opportunity for you to jump in and sell that kind of item. If it has a good sell-through rate, then sell that kind of item with really good photos, very good lighting, and a clear background. Because I think it's just like a psychological thing, right? If you go to a restaurant and you see pictures of a burger that they're selling, and it's a terrible picture, it's very dark, it doesn't have good lighting, it doesn't look good. But if you go to another restaurant, on the menu, they have like a beautiful picture, it looks bright, they got extra, lettuce, whatever, everything. The better it looks, the more it makes you want to buy it. And that's basically what it is on eBay. So always make sure that you have great pictures, good lighting, and a good background. I know like things have changed on eBay and you don't need a white background, but I would still recommend that you do the white background. The white background is very important. It just makes your items pop up a little bit more. There's also apps that you can take a picture and remove the background. It's easier that way, but I'm not a big fan of it because it also removes the shadows of your items and makes your items not look realistic. So I know a lot of people tell me like, hey, you should use this app or that app. And I don't even know the name of the apps. I know you can do it on eBay, or I don't know if they remove that feature, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would just say go to Walmart and buy a white poster board and two white poster boards, one for the back and one for the bottom, and then the light that I'll put in the description. That's all you need. It should cost you, I don't know, at most like $25, maybe. But it's a super simple, cheap way. That's how I still do it, and I've been selling it for over 4 years. And I've sold, I don't know how many. I think it's like over 6,000 items. And yeah, it still works. It still works. You don't have to complicate things. Don't buy one of those expensive photo boxes. They're not needed. But yeah, take clear and honest pictures. Make sure that you, in the description, put like, hey, if it has a damage or if you're selling a plush and it has a rip, make sure you put that in the description too. You don't want to surprise your buyers and then you get negative feedback. All right, Bruce says you can do it with Grok AI for free, I believe, but I don't know if it's worth it. Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that. But like I said, I'm just not a big fan of removing backgrounds because it removes the shadows and it just makes your items not real. Like, I don't know, they just don't look real. So that's just my opinion, though. I know, like, if you've been doing that and it works for you, then good for you. I just keep it simple. I just take a picture and upload. I don't want to take that extra step of editing photos. I'm a lazy reseller. That's what I say. But it works. All right, we're going to go into step number 6. Halfway there, guys. Halfway there. Step 6. It's creating your listings the smart way. A lot of people, especially in the beginning, they'll tell me that they spend a lot of time uploading their listings on eBay. And it does take a lot of time. But if you just search for the item that you're selling, and then you go to sold listings, they click on one that's very similar to yours, and then you click on sell one like this, you can just add your photos, change the title if you have to, check the details, add your price, the shipping, and then you're good to go. Once you get the hang of that, it takes you, I don't know, I would say it takes you about like 30 seconds to make one eBay listing. That saves you so much time than creating a brand new listing when you have to add all the information, and that just takes a lot of time. Like I said, I've been doing this for over 4 years, and I've never created my own listing. I call it hijacking a listing because I just go in, find one that's similar to what I'm about to sell, and then I just do sell one like this. And it's super simple. I do my listings. I do between 10 to 15 a day, and it takes me maybe, I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes tops, 25 minutes tops. But it's the best way to do it, the smart way to do it. It'll save you a lot of time. So I would highly recommend that you do that. But like I said, always check the description as well. Sometimes some like from the description from the previous listing will get added to yours. And if it says something completely irrelevant and you sell the item, then once the buyer receives that, and like I said, no surprises, just double check all your stuff. Double check all your stuff. All right. Let's see. Step number 7. We don't have any questions for step 6. Okay, step number 7 is setting up your price. I know a lot of people ask me, how do I know what to price my items? And it really is up to you. But you also can't just make up your own price. You have to know what the market value of that item is. So if an item is selling for $20, but you think it's super, super cool, that doesn't give you a reason to price it to, at $40. So just check for similar items that have sold and then go based on that. And what I like to do is I like to, once I do my research and I see like an item sold for, $20, and I just check how many have sold, like the 7 most recent sold, like that's what I check. And then I take the average price, and that's what I buy my item for. So like I said, it comes down to research, just checking what the items have sold for, and then that'll give you an idea what you can price yours. And then also, here's another thing. Promoting your items. This comes into setting up your price. So promoting your items, there's always like a 50-50 debate on eBay. I personally think it's a great idea because you are going to sell your items a lot faster. I've checked my my analytics on my eBay store, and about 65% of my eBay sales come from me promoting my items. So if I wasn't promoting my items, I'd be missing out on 65% of my sales. And like I said, I know it sucks. Like you have to give money, you have to give eBay more money, but at the end, it's like the return you get, it's 100% worth it. So eBay will suggest you like a 12%, 15%. Never do the suggested rate. That's way too high. eBay just wants to take a lot of your money. I promote all of my items at 4%, but if you're just starting out, I would highly recommend you start with a 2.5 or a 3% and see if that works for you. And if it's not working as good, then you can bump it up to a 4%. But never do the suggested. Like I said, a 12%, a 14%, 15%. That's way too high. Way too high. You're basically just giving your profits to eBay, and you're working for free for eBay. So it's not a good thing. It's definitely not a good thing. Let me see. So she says, do you know any place that sells unlocked phones for a decent price? I'd rather use a different phone for pictures than my personal phone or storage. Oh no, I get it. Yeah, for sure. I don't know of any places that sell phones, but that is a great idea because that's what I do. I have my phone for the one I'm using right now for the camera. That's the one that I use for my eBay listings and creating content. But then I have this one to create my other kind of content. But it's definitely takes up a lot of storage on your phone. But that would be a great idea. That would be a great idea. Doesn't eBay push your content more if you list more often and actually sell more often? Yes, Bruce. So the thing about, since we're talking about listing items, you have to list items every single day. Every single day. It's very important for you to list items every single day. And delisting one item and relisting it does not count as your one new item. It has to be one new item every single day that you list on eBay at minimum. Because once you stop listing for a day, even just one day, and let's say you've been actively listing for 2 weeks straight, and then you miss a day, eBay will punish you for that one day, which is it sucks, but that's the reality. So I would highly recommend that you list one item every single day at minimum, because eBay will push your store more. Because when you are being active on the platform, it's just like any other social media, right? The more that you are active on the platforms, they reward you for that. Same thing with eBay. If you are active listing items every single day, they will reward you. They'll push your listings even more. And it's just a good way. Like I said earlier, if you make listings and you sell an item, you have to pay fees, and that's how eBay makes the money. If they're gonna make money, then they're gonna reward you. So just keep that in mind. Thank you for asking that question too. It's a thing that a lot of people don't think it's very important, but it's very, very important. List items every single day. And here's like a little strategy for you guys. If you can't list one item every single day. So what I normally do is every 2 to 3 days, I photograph. And obviously, I'm at a different level. And if you're just starting out, it's going to be a little bit different for you. But every 2 to 3 days, I photograph between 20 to 40 items. And then that way I have photos ready for the next couple of days. And I don't have to worry about photographing. Now, if you're just starting out, let's say you brand new, you're starting out today, just find 7 items, photograph those 7 items in one day or even in 2 days, and do not list them all in one day. I know it can be like, sometimes we're not patient and we just want to list everything because we want to make sales. But if you only have 7 items for the week, then just list one item every single day for the week. And then just while you're making those listings, just focus on finding another 7 items for the next week. And then if you can up it to 2, then, even better. And then you can start building it up little by little. But if you just find 7 items for the week, photograph those, and then list one every single day of the week, you'll be good. It just makes it a lot easier for you to start making listings every single day. But okay, let's see. Step 8 is shipping. The shipping is probably the hardest part when it comes to this business, honestly. I know in the beginning I lost a lot of money because I was just trying to get the hang of it. So before you even think about shipping, this kind of ties to what kind of items you're going to be selling. So if you are really scared about shipping, focus on the items that are going to be easy to ship, like plush, small electronics, video games, not consoles, just like the video games in the box and stuff like that. Those are so easy to ship because you can put them in poly mailer bags or bubble mailers, and you can just put the label on it and then take it to the post office. Do not buy. If you see my TikTok videos or my Instagram videos, you see that I buy like these old school retro TVs. Do not buy that kind of stuff because it's harder to ship. But if you're feeling up for a challenge, then go for it, right? But if you're just starting out, focus on those smaller items. But you can do different type of shipping on eBay. So they got the calculated, they got the flat rate, and they have free shipping. Flat rate and free shipping is basically the same thing. So calculated is basically you list up an item and then you put the dimensions and the weight of the item that you're about to sell. And then once it sells, depending on where that person lives, eBay will calculate that and then they'll charge the shipping. I've never used this method. Some people say it's great. Some people say it's not great because sometimes they'll underprice the shipping and then you end up losing money. So that would be really up to you, honestly. But what I do is flat rate shipping. So I have kind of like, and then I do have a full-on YouTube video on shipping, by the way, and I kind of go into detail about all this. So the flat rate, what I do is I have like different tiers, basically. So like a plush, I charge $6 on shipping. Video games falls in tier 1. Tier 2 is more like, I can't think of something, just like bigger items and a little bit over a pound items. And I would say like maybe like a pound to 2 pounds. That would be tier 2. And I charge, I believe it's $10, $9, $10. And then I have the most expensive one, which is $18. But it's because I sell, a little bit of everything. And I've been doing this for a while now that I kind of already have an idea how much it's going to cost me to ship an item. Yeah, so the free shipping, like I said, flat rate and free shipping, basically the same thing. When people offer free shipping, it doesn't mean that shipping is free for the buyer. What it means is that you are making it look like it's free shipping, but the cost of the shipping, you added it into the cost of the item. So let's say I'm selling an item for $20 with $5 shipping. Then you make a listing like mine and you offer free shipping. But instead of listing an item for $20, you're going to list yours for $25 with free shipping. So it looks like the buyer is just getting a better deal because it's free shipping. I tried that in the past. I never liked it because buyers do not consider the fact that you still have to pay for shipping. Well, not them, but like you as a seller. So they'll make you an offer and then sometimes it's not really worth it. So for me, I've passed on free shipping. I just always make my listing. I set the price and I always charge the shipping separate from that. But yeah, always charge the shipping. The buyer needs to pay the shipping. Do not offer free shipping. You're going to lose a lot of money. Let's see. If you offer free shipping, doesn't the buyer get a full refund? And if you return the item instead of, yeah, exactly. Well, even if you charge the buyer for shipping and then they get a refund or, they return the item, you're still going to end up refunding them the price of the shipping. So either way, you end up refunding everything. So that's why, like I said, try to make your listings very honest, and try to, the description, take good photos. That way the buyer has less reasons to try to return the item. But yeah, whether you charge shipping or you don't, you're still going to end up refunding, the whole amount, like a full refund, I guess. So once you do the shipping, step 9 is basically you just list your item. That's simple, guys. So you just, copy and paste from another listing. You add the title, your photos, the condition, the price of the item. If you need to add a description, go ahead and do that. You add the shipping, and then you promote your item, and then you list your item live. Once you make your item live, that's it. You just leave it as is. You don't touch it. You don't mess about it. And the most important thing about it is that do not stress about the views that you get on eBay. As a matter of fact, this is very important. Only worry when your item has over 100 views and it still hasn't sold. If your item has less than 100 views, don't worry about it. There's many items that I've sold in the past with 0 views. Like they'll stay at 0 views for like 7 days, and then it sells at full price. So the views don't matter, only if it's 100 or over 100. And the reason I say that is because in online stores, a 3% is a good like sell-through rate for a store, an online store. So for basically what that says is that for every 100 people that see your listing, 3 people should buy it. So if it has over 100 views, it could be many things. Maybe the price is too high, maybe the shipping is too high, maybe the photos are not good enough, and the condition is not showing. So only worry about those things like the condition, price, and shipping and stuff if the item has over 100 views. If it has less than that, do not worry about it. Don't stress about it. For step 9, do you think hard about keywords? No. Keywords are, I know they're very important, but for me, I kind of see it as irrelevant, only because when I said earlier about how to make your listings fast, if you already go to, if you take a listing that has already sold in the past 90 days, that listing has already proven to sell. So if it's already proven to sell, that means that listing has done something good compared to the other ones. So the keywords, yes, they could be important, but by hijacking another listing and just uploading your pictures and then, condition, price, and shipping, then I don't worry about much about keywords. That's why, like, keywords, a lot of people ask me about keywords, but honestly, I've never really put much attention to keywords. Let's see. Step number 10 is once you sell an item, you just pack it up and print out your label. If you, in the beginning, you did not need a label printer like the one I got back here, but if you have the money to invest in one, that's going to be in the description for you guys as well. And so if you don't have a label, all you got to do, a label printer, all you got to do is just buy the label on eBay. By the way, yes, always buy your label on eBay. You're going to get the cheapest pricing. People have told me about pirate ship. I've never noticed a difference, and it's just another extra step to do that. But I mean, there is a pro to doing that, but for me, it's not really worth it. But yeah, if you buy your label on eBay, you'll get a little barcode that you take it to the post office, and they'll scan it, and then they'll give you a barcode to put on your package, and then you're good to go. How do you do the international shipping? Nancy, that is a program that you have to join through eBay. I believe you can go through your settings and set that up, and it's super simple. It's literally just like turning it on, and you're good to go. But once you do that, the sales don't come as often, but when they do, the international shipping is super easy. Like, let's say somebody from Europe bought something from me. I send the item to eBay's warehouse here in the US. Once it arrives there, whatever happens after that, it's not my problem. I don't get refunds. I don't get nothing. So that's why I love selling international, because eBay takes care of everything once it arrives at their warehouse, and you don't have to do anything. I want to try flipping on eBay, but shipping is what's confusing to me. Johnny, so the shipping, like I said, focus on items that are going to be easy to ship. But if you have more, like you want to know more about shipping, I do have a full-on video on my channel for that, for shipping. Do you use AI descriptions? Do you include anything else in the description, like store policies? Nope, Ken, nothing like that. I only use the description when I have an item that's worth a good amount of money and it's damaged. Or if I have to sell an item as untested or sold for parts, I put in the description, sold as is, untested, no returns. That's all I use it for. I don't go crazy with description and stuff like that. I know some people like to add description, makes it look more professional. But if you just try, like for me, I'm a everything seller. I sell a bit of everything, so I barely get any repeat customers. So to me, branding myself like that is not worth it. I just, like I said, I just use it for stuff like untested, sold as is, no returns. Or if I'm selling an expensive item, it has like a rip on a, like if it's a plush, it has a rip, I'll put that in the description. Or if it's dirty and I couldn't clean it right, I'll put that in the description. But any other details or like store policy, stuff like that, I don't think they're important, to be honest. For step number 11 is you just getting paid. Once, I know in the beginning, if you're brand new, you sell an item, you're going to get paid after the item gets delivered. So you just got to be patient with that. Once you start building up your store, it gets a lot easier. You'll be able to do weekly payouts or even daily payouts. The daily payouts are nice. That's how I used to have it at the beginning when I started rebuilding my whole eBay business, because I would sell something and I would get paid like a day or two after, and I would get that money and reinvest it. But yeah, just give it some time and be patient with that. And step number 12, is very, very simple. Is basically repeating the whole process over and over and over and over again. It really all depends how much you want to grow your business. If you just want to do it part-time, if you want to do it full-time to replace your 9-to-5 job, it's just a matter of repeating and reinvesting all your profits. I know in the beginning, you make an extra $100 a month, and it's nice because that's $100 that you didn't have the previous month. But the problem that people make, or the mistake that people do all the time, is that they'll take the $100 and they'll spend it on something because they want to treat themselves, or for whatever reason they spend on something else. And it could help you when you have to pay bills, right? But in order for you to grow your business, you have to reinvest your profits back into your business. In the beginning, even to this day, I still reinvest majority of my profits into the business. But in the beginning, I was, making $100 a week, and I would take the $100 and I would reinvest it back. So, and now instead of starting with $100, I'm starting with $200. And you just keep repeating the process. You keep buying high quality items with good sell-through rates. Like I said, always do your research. And slowly but surely, you start building up your store and you start making more sales consistently and making more money. And once you get to a point where you're making, a good amount of money, let's say if you're doing it part-time and you're making an extra $1,000 a month in profit, yeah, you can take, a couple hundred or, $200-$300 and spend on whatever you want, and then reinvest the rest of the money back. But it all comes down to where you're going to be sourcing. That's very, very important. How much should I invest? Johnny, it really depends. It really depends how fast you want to grow and where you're going to be sourcing. So for me, like if you go into the Goodwill bins and you find items often, the Goodwill bins are probably going to be the cheapest place for you to buy items. And with $50, you can make, I don't know, $200, depending if they bring out good items. But if you're going to a pawn shop, $50 is maybe going to buy you one thing. If you go to yard sales, $50 is not going to last you too long. So it just depends where you're going to be sourcing. Obviously, the higher the budget, the better. But if you have $0, you can start with items from your house. Are there certain items or brands you can't sell on eBay? There's a couple. I know, like I mentioned this on a TikTok live the other day. It's a OtterBox, I think. That's the phone case company. I know you can't sell that, but honestly, that's probably the only one I know. Every time, like I said, every time I come across items, like if you watch my videos going to the Goodwill bins, I fill up a big tub of things, and then when I leave, I end up with like very, very small amount of items because I check every single one of the items. If there's a brand that has a couple sold and a couple listed, or a very, very little listed, that kind of tells me that it's a brand that it doesn't allow you to sell their items. But you just have to yeah, it's a good question though. I wish I had like a list. Maybe I can put like a list together of things that you can't sell on eBay, and then I'll end up adding it to the description. But yeah, that's a good question. Thank you for asking that question. Unfortunately, I don't have bins near me. We'll figure it out though. Bro, yeah, like I said, it just depends on your budget. Yard sales would be probably the second best thing, because you can get lucky at yard sales. You can find very cheap things at yard sales, and with a small budget, you should be good. So I would definitely try out the yard sales. Yard sales, Goodwill bins would be the cheapest or the best one to get the most items for less money. Then it would be yard sales, and then I would say it would be it would probably be like Goodwill thrift stores or any kind of thrift stores that you can find near you. And then actually no, I take it back. It'll be flea markets, and then it'll be the thrift stores. So try flea markets as well. Those can be really profitable. But if you, like I said, you invest your profits back into your business, then you're just gonna keep growing that little by little. Post, what's up, Post? Post is in here. Post is like my number one buyer on Whatnot. What about Ross, Marshalls? Yeah, you can sell stuff from Ross and Marshalls. It's just new stuff with tags. I stay away with that from that kind of stuff, but it's definitely possible though. I know a couple people that do really well selling stuff from Ross and Marshalls. As a matter of fact, here in Arizona, I don't know if they have it in other states, but there's a store called DD Discount, something like that. It's similar to Ross and Marshalls, but I went there the other day, and they were selling some sandals, like a True Religion sandals. They were selling for $8. They saw on eBay for $30, and I thought about just buying them all and reselling them. But like I said, I don't. It doesn't excite me, so I stay away from that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can go to these stores and buy brand new stuff and still be profitable. And even if you only make like $7, and there's easy to ship and easy to photograph, but you're able to buy, let's say 10. $7 profit with 10 in one store. That's $70 profit. That's good profit for just one store. Can I sell Victoria's Secret items? Very good question. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I don't really sell clothing on eBay or anywhere, to be honest. I don't sell clothing. But yeah, guys, that is it, guys. Step 1 all the way to step 12 to get you guys going selling on eBay. This video is going to be a replay. It's going to be posted on my YouTube channel. So you guys have, if you guys want to go back and rewatch it and just, ask more questions, feel free to drop a comment. But I do go live on TikTok as well. If you guys don't follow me on TikTok, that's going to be in the description as well. Go follow me over there. I go live once a week, and I just answer questions over there as well, because I know a lot of people ask me questions on how to get started or, how to go about a situation. Do you have a video of supplies you need to buy or start up? Brian, you don't really need a lot of supplies in the beginning. You could invest, in buying the supplies from Amazon, because that's probably going to be the cheapest place. But I wouldn't worry about the supplies until you're actually selling items. So what I really tell people, like, don't worry about the supplies, like make your first couple sales, and then you can go to Walmart and buy your supplies there. You are going to pay a little bit more for them, but there's no point of buying like a bunch of items if you're just starting out, a bunch of materials if you're just starting out, because what if you find out that you actually hate the business after a month? Then you end up with a bunch of inventory or a bunch of supplies that you're never going to use. Thanks for the info. Yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here. Let me see. Do you have a video? What do you do if a buyer is asking refund but trying to keep the product? Post, I just let them know, like, hey, if you really want a refund, just send the item back. Otherwise, I can't send you any refund. And most of the time, they'll just close the request to return the item, because it's just people that want to keep the item, but they also want their money. But there's also times where they do get upset and they'll leave you a negative feedback, and there's not much you can do besides, contact eBay or send a revision for that feedback. But I'll never, if somebody specifically tells me, hey, I'm gonna keep the item, but I want a refund, that's like a red flag to me. So I don't really put much attention to it. It's either you send the item back and I give you a refund, or you get nothing back. Kay, you are very welcome, Kay. You're the man. Thank you. Thank you, Nicholas. Appreciate you being here. How can we know what's the trending product to sell? You can go to Google Trends. So go to Google and just search for Google Trends. And let's say, what month are we in? May. So type in golf, and you'll see the data, and you'll see like the spike. If there's a spike, that means that the item is trending. So I would focus on buying golf clubs to sell during this season. For example, when it comes to like, holiday time, like Christmas, you'll see like toys skyrocket. You'll see, school supplies around like June, July. You'll see like backpacks, skyrocket. So Google Trends is a great place to search for trends. Yeah, man, appreciate you taking the time to spread some. Yeah, of course, Brian. Of course, I'm here to help. Like I said, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I put that PDF together a couple weeks ago. If you guys want to grab that, it's gonna be in the description as well. But I just want to do it live and just kind of go over it and give you guys a little bit more details than I did on that PDF. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys. Any questions you guys may have in the future, if you guys really watch the live, just drop a comment and I'll get to you guys as soon as I can. Like I said, I'm here to help you guys. How does shipping work if you buy multiple items and whatnot? Kaylin, that's a question for another live, but since you're already here, I'll answer it. If you buy multiple items on whatnot, so anything over 1 pound, you end up basically just getting free shipping. But they allow you to use priority mail boxes, which makes the whole thing super easy. But I'm gonna do a separate video on just whatnot and explaining everything that I've learned in the past 3 months on whatnot. Congratulations on getting monetized on YouTube. Yeah, thank you, Johnny. Appreciate you. Yeah, it's definitely pretty fun. You still have your show today? Yes, post. The show is gonna be in about an hour. The whatnot show. So I'll see you over there, man. I'll see you over there. But yeah, guys, you guys are awesome. You guys have a great day. And if you haven't already tried resale on eBay, just give it a try. Like, I know it's scary. I know you're gonna be nervous about it, but we all got to start somewhere. And the more that you do it, the more consistent that you are with it, the more money you're going to make, the less scary it is. And you eventually have a small business growing. And whether you want to do it part-time or you want to do it full-time, it's a great side income as well. But yeah, guys, you guys have an awesome day. I will talk to you guys later. I'm going to figure out how to end the stream. And I'll see you guys on the whatnot show later today.